Hey there guys. So I saw this video and I was talking about 3 hours a week to build the ideal body. Now, personally, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. 4 hours and look, you have a better chance. And it really does come down to what your interpretation of ideal is. If you're training 4 days a week, you're putting the work in, really pushing yourself, then yes, it's going to go a very, very long way. And for some people, especially a lot of time poor dads, the ideal physique is, being able to bench press, 2 plates aside for, 4 sets of 10, for example, have a body fat percentage from, 10 to 12%, and be able to move, run around, and interact with their kids, and rock up to, the sports day or, the club training, and being, one of the fitter dads in the group and just literally being, happy with their physique. For them, that is ideal. That's their, dream physique that they're going for, as opposed to an unrealistic point of view being like a top tier bodybuilding physique. For a lot of people, even with ample time, genetics just play a huge role in that, and that for a lot of people just isn't going to be realistic. So what I've put together is what I would call, a really good quality 4-day split, and it covers the exercises and how I do them. So bench press, 4 sets of 10, I'd be having 2 to 3 minute break times, for that. Dumbbell bench press, I'd drop the break times to 2 minutes. The shoulder press, I'd superset that with the lateral raises, because that way you can work your shoulders really hard. When your triceps then start to fatigue and give out, you then continue the set with doing dumbbell lateral raises and really get a good burn in the delts, and it just saves you on time. And then, triceps, pretty self-explanatory. You can do them in a few different ways, whatever you want to do. Tricep push downs, dumbbell pullovers, kickbacks. Up to you as an individual as to what you want to do with them. But fitting this all into 1 hour is definitely very achievable, and it is a really good training split. Like if you have an hour 4 times a week, then this is a program that is definitely going to deliver results without being, too hard to recover from. And it really will go a long way to building your dream physique. So, with the dumbbell bench press as well, from week to week, you can swap out if you want to make it incline, flat, decline, completely up to you. The dumbbell shoulder press, if you want to swap that occasionally for barbell overhead press, it's up to you, but I'd stick to the same set and rep ranges. That way it's, chest, shoulders, and tries all done, in an effective manner. Squats, 4 sets of 8, this is primarily the leg day in the program. Now with the squats, you want to keep the break times 2 to 3 minutes. You're going to use more a tempo method. If you're going for powerlifting, you're going to push the break times out a lot longer than 2-3 minutes. It's just a given. Otherwise, it's just going to become too difficult. But if you're a time poor dad and you're just chasing, an ideal physique in that regard, then squats, 4 sets of 8, keep the break time 2 to 3 minutes, and you can also slow them down, get more total time under tension. If you want as well, at the end of the session, I did put down leg extensions and leg curls, but it's up to you. If you want to start with the leg extensions, first, and use a pre-exhaustion method, it just means when you rock up to the squats, the weight that you're going to use is going to be less. So in that regard, you can look after your lower back, especially if you have lower back issues. And then again, also with the squats, you might swap them for front squats. Some people might choose to just keep the squats light and just use it as a movement pattern, but it really comes down to what goals you have in mind. Then day 3, just a rest day. You need to recover. And I find hitting heavy upper body and then heavy lower body, for most people, that takes care of the training week really effectively. You haven't hit biceps and a few of the other smaller movements, but you've basically done what you needed. Now, day 4, I put down deadlifts, speed work. It's going to hit the back. Just depends how your back is pulled up from the Tuesday. You might decide to put this day 4 onto a day 5 instead. It really comes down to the individual and your training needs and goals, or you might just factor in another rest day. But deadlifts, I find, as speed work works really quite well. pull-ups, the 4 sets of 10 to 15, and then you've got rows. Now with rows, you can do them as dumbbell rows, barbell rows, pendlay rows, croc rows, whatever sort of variation you want and that you can feel the most. It's up to you. And then same deal with the pull-ups. You might need to use the assisted chins machine and you do pull-ups there, or you might want to take a neutral grip. You might decide to use lat pull down instead because you don't have access to, the assisted chins or whatever else you need in order to do that. And then, day 5, I've put down shrugs. Again, going to hit a little bit more back, really helps develop the physique in terms of looking like an athlete. You can tell that you're someone that then lifts weights. The curls, 4 sets of 12. Now, it's up to you. You could do concentration curls, dumbbell curls, barbell curls, preacher curls, whatever you sort of want. Again, break times, about 2 or so minutes, and same with the above. And then after that, it just comes down to grip work and forearms, because they just help complete the picture, and as well as abs. And then after that, depending on time or if there's any exercises you missed during the week, feel free to throw that in. A lot of people might need to put an extra rest day, especially if you're doing heavy deadlifts, for example. You're going to go into this and you're still going to feel your traps are being worked. Trying to come up, with a perfect training split that fits into just a week for a lot of people isn't the most realistic thing, because you're always going to have a little bit of carryover from one exercise to another in terms of DOMs and whatever else has or hasn't been worked. So, it's the same with abs. They get hit pretty much on everything, especially in your squats, your deadlifts, your rows, depending, especially heavy barbell rows or pendlay rows and your bracing. You're going to hit your lower back as well. So, I wouldn't get too caught up. And, this is just a basic guide as well. For a lot of time poor dads, though, this really will be a guide to building, the dream physique that they want. In terms of cardio, lean more towards diet. 5 to 10 minutes of cardio, going for a short run outside is probably all you're really going to need, unless you're an athlete that plays some sort of field sport where you actually need to be able to run and do that for your sport. In that regard, I'd probably just keep the weights as they are, and then when you get to training or practice, just understand that that is your cardio. Focus a bit more on your recovery, and certain exercises like squats the day before, you might need to go lighter, or you might need to swap some of the days around depending on the training days and the sport that you're playing. But that's it. And then if you wanted to add anything else, as I said, put that in on the day 5. If you need to spread out training days more, then use the 2 rest days, which is the Saturday and Sunday, and just throw them into the program wherever you want. A lot of people, as I said, they get stuck trying to fit everything into a 7-day training split. If you need to push the whole thing out to 8 days to make it work, then do so. And if you've got a little bit more time than the hour, take a little bit longer in between your working sets, because that way you're going to have a bit more recovery, which is going to allow you to basically hit the next set harder, and you'll be able to use more total weight. But if you can't, keep the exercises to the 2 to 3 minute breaks. If there's anything you want to superset, then go for it. And that's just, doing one exercise followed straight away by another exercise, and then you have your rest time. But this is my take on it. I don't think 3 hours in a training week is enough. 4 hours, that becomes a realistic and quite an achievable goal. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, hit like and subscribe, and have a great day wherever you are.